Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast with J. Gordon Duncan. And if you're wondering why the J, the answer is, I'm not a bagpipe player. And if that joke doesn't make any sense, I encourage you to check out episode 0, where I explain that joke, as well as the purpose of the This Is Gonna Hurt podcast, where we talk about faith, family, fitness, finances, and sometimes fun. Hey friends, thank you so much. Welcome back to another episode. As always, I start with just huge thanks. Again, the likes, the follows, everything has just been wonderful ever since we've gone to this new format. So I want to say thank you. And this episode, I've got to thank Shane Dell because I forgot my headphones. And I'm wearing these big, giant headphones today, but I cannot make any complaints because I wouldn't be able to hear a thing without Shane Dell's help. But Shane Dell, as always, thank you for everything you do, making the show work the way it does. And I'm incredibly honored to have a friend of mine on today. If you follow what happened a couple of weeks ago when I was online, I went home to Garner, North Carolina, and saw a bunch of friends, and I went to a conference, and you saw all these photos of me laughing and hugging folks, and it was the Choose Local and Small Y'all Unconference, and we're going to talk about all that in a minute, but that was founded by my friend Dena Alossi McDonald, and when we were there, I'm like, Dena, we got to have you on the show. So Dena is the owner of Alossi Day Spa in Garner, North Carolina, and I think that's where we met, somewhere probably hanging out, drinking coffee. But over the last year or so, she's created an organization called Choose Local and Small Y'all, and she's going to tell us all about it. So Dena, thanks so much. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was so good to see you last week.
Oh, thank you. It really was a blast to go back to Garner. In the last 9 or 10 years, I've come in and grabbed coffee here or there, but I haven't actually sat down or seen folks. So it was really great to see you and everyone else. You made just an incredible event last week.
Thank you.
Yeah. Dena, tell everybody a little bit about sort of your entrepreneurial journey, because you own a spa. And before we get to Choose Local and Y'all, tell everybody about starting that and the genesis of it and how you became an entrepreneur. I know people would love to hear that story.
It's funny you asked those questions. I was asked probably about 2 months ago to speak at a women's conference on a panel by my friend Denise Nowell. And it was around the time that I was asking all of the people to be at my conference and to be a speaker there. So I thought, okay, how can I say no? Because I'm asking all these people to do this for me. And I get to the panel and they're asking me these type of questions. How did you get started? You're an entrepreneur. And it's funny that I never really thought about my own journey at the time. I really don't embrace that term for myself for whatever reason. And the most honest statement that I said is, I really think you guys had me here today as the what not to do story.
That's okay.
I said,
it really is.
Nothing of my journey kind of made sense. My background is in social work. I have a bachelor's in social work. I went back to school 6 years later and I got my nursing degree. I'm an RN. And so I worked in healthcare my entire life. That's what I did. I always loved the wellness, the holistic approach to things instead of throwing medications at everything. And I remember one day waking up going, oh my gosh, they have this massage program now at Wake Tech, which is where I got my nursing degree. And I said, I kind of want to do this. And I really never thought of it as something that I was going to do for a career. I just thought it was great information. My husband now hides every kind of educational material from me. He's like, I got you. Yeah. So having never worked a day in a spa in my life for anybody else, I decided to open one, and I decided to do it in Garner. And my father was a business owner forever, and he kind of really helped me through the process and convinced me that I could do this.
Dena, you talked about not, really owning the name entrepreneur, but I think that's part of the beauty of it is every entrepreneur's journey looks completely different. Like it really does. It's rarely do you get two people who've started a business who have the exact same path. But I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I think I remember around the time you launched. What time did you guys launch Alossi Day Spa? What year was that? Do you remember?
September of 2009.
Okay, so a little bit before. We got in Garner 2005, and I remember just all of a sudden the community was very aware that you had launched. Like you launched, it appeared that you launched well. But I remember all of a sudden, I didn't know you until you launched the Day Spa. I'm pretty sure. But it seemed like your presence and your brand became really, really like aware to everybody. Do you remember putting together much of a launch campaign or anything like that? Like what did that look like?
Again, I wish I had some inspiring story for you here,
Uh huh.
but we thought we were going to open, I believe in May or June, but as anybody knows, opening a new business, especially new construction, never goes as planned.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I actually watched it build along the way, and I joined the chamber in February of that year. And so I just went to everything and did everything as my business for
Mhm.
months prior to it opening. Um, it wasn't necessarily my plan that, hey, 6 months ahead of time, you're going to do all this marketing. I thought I was doing it a month or two ahead of time, but
Right.
it
Right.
really ended up being such a blessing. And I will say, looking back, the thing, I don't mean I regret, because it's not a regret, but it's a lot of work and hours and going to events and being present and doing things in your community and kind of paying your dues, so to speak, so
Mhm.
that people
Mhm.
do know who you are, even if you were a part of that community ahead of time.
Well, you're definitely an entrepreneur then, because that's the way to start. I mean, I get that. Moving to a community, completely doing everything you can to be a part of it, supporting other
Yeah.
small businesses, going to their ribbon cuttings, going to their events, being there just to cheer them on now, cheering them on online. And so, yeah, I mean, if you were, I mean, I completely get going to the chamber and doing like 6 months of activities just to talk about what could happen. And then all of a sudden, Alossi Day Spa is just part of, it's a fixture in the Garner community. And so now
Right.
people are asking you to come speak and like come hear our journey, which is absolutely wonderful. But I want to talk a little bit about what you've got going on now,
Oh, yeah.
because so over the last I guess year and a half, I mean, I keep up with people from home, and again, everybody, I think if you know the show, I was from Garner, North Carolina before I came here, but I see Dena putting together um, support of other businesses and events and logos and T-shirts called Choose Local and Small, y'all, which is fantastic. And something's going on that's piqued my interest up here in Virginia. So, do you mind sharing a little bit about the genesis of what happened and what Choose Local and Small, y'all is?
Absolutely. This is one journey that I just really love sharing the story of, because it's really one of these journeys where it just kind of found you instead of
Mm-hmm.
you going out and pursuing it. And that's kind of what makes it cool to me. So I'll give you the very short back version, which is in 2019, I was sitting around one day thinking of, I have a ton of friends that are small business owners, and we need something fun and cool to do as a collective for Small Business Saturday, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
2019. The world is pretty good at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, we need a little name, right, for us. And what are we trying to say? So we already knew we were local and small businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody does shop local with a
Mm-hmm.
town,
Sure,
or
sure.
eat local, drink local. And I just thought, our businesses are so varied. What verb is it that I'm really asking people to do, right? So I say, I'm a big like free flowing brain thinker, where I just doodle all the time. And
Okay.
I said, really and truly, what I'm doing is I'm asking people to make a choice, because you have a choice you make every day when you go click on Amazon, or you get up and you drive to a local store. So, what I'm asking people to do and empowering people to do, really, is to make the choice when you have the option to find a local and small business. So,
Okay.
having said that, I'm like, we need a logo. I just for me, this kind of stuff is fun. It wasn't, a
Mm-hmm.
chore. It was like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, let's make a logo. I got my friend Whitney. I said, here's what I'm thinking. Do this. We all need t-shirts. I'm obsessed with t-shirts. So
Right. Right.
I said, here's the deal. We're all going to get a t-shirt and we're all going to take a picture and we're going to post to this Facebook page, which was newly created, Small Business Saturday, on Small Business Saturday. And we're going to tag every single one of our businesses. And every single one of us agrees to share it. And we're just going to see what happens organically.
Mm-hmm.
And that morning, I made the post and every one of us shared it and everyone was tagged in it. And it just went all over the place. Like we had this huge reach and everybody
Mm-hmm.
was really excited because once again, people pay good money for a reach like that on social media. And
Yes,
we
I
did
do.
it
Yes, I do.
with the collective power of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And yay, we took pictures. It was successful. And that was really like all we had tried to do with it originally. In
Right.
December, I think we got together and did another little something. Um, February, the spa launched something called the Kindness Campaign.
Okay.
And it was our flip on Valentine's Day. I mean, obviously, everybody thinks of love and couples massages and stuff. And I said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to flip the script and I'm going to focus on kindness. So we picked a charity called Note in the Pocket, which provides clothing to children in Wake County who are identified by their counselors at the school and they don't have socks, they don't have underwear, they don't have clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided we were going to have a clothing drive and we were going to build this whole marketing campaign around this. So we did. And I said, you know what? Let me reach out to my friends, right? The Choose Local people and say, hey, does anybody want to put a box at their business and collect some socks and underwear, right? Well,
Nice.
lo and behold, like a couple days later, I had 20 businesses that were all
Wow.
saying, yeah, we'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
this is awesome. At that point, I was starting to just very beginnings of seeing the power that this thing really had, right? So we called each other Kindness Crusaders. We did a little video. We started doing all this. It got picked up by the news station.
Wow.
And right before the world shut down, literally, I'm saying maybe 4 days,
Mm-hmm.
we got together, gathered all this stuff, put it in my garage, and decided from there, that we would get it to them. Well, then the world shut down.
Right.
And here we were having just pulled off this hugely successful marketing campaign, charity fundraiser kind of thing. And we were like, the world put their brakes on us. We personally, the spa was shut down for 10 weeks.
Mm.
And I remember people just reaching out to me and saying, are you okay? How are you doing? That was the neat thing about this group is that we're all small business owners, but we're also all friends, right? We all
Mm-hmm.
kind of knew each other ahead of time. And you have this bond. I say all the time, you have bonds with other small business owners. It doesn't matter
Yes.
what business you have. You all go through the same struggles. So I'm going to say maybe a week, we just were spinning. That's the best word I can say. Because at that point, I'm not sure what we do. Are we still trying to be in business? Are we chilling? Is this going to last 5 days or is this going to last 5 months or forever? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. Once we kind of saw that, well, they haven't shut everybody down and some things are still kind of going on. I started reaching out to my friends whose businesses were open and I said, how can I help you? What can I do? Yeah, I'm sitting on my butt and that is not something I'm good at. And I've
Mm-hmm.
got 2 kids that are great and they can do things. And so we made it our mission at that point to start blowing up our friends that could make money. and we
Okay.
encouraged people to buy gift cards. We started, I mean, hey, everybody was sitting at home. We started sharing each other's posts, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
everybody got on board and started doing this. And again, this wasn't, like, oh, this is what Choose Local is going to do. This is what our friends did. And then
Right.
we started
Right.
recognizing we had this amazing platform that we could utilize, as well as our personal pages and things. And that kind of gave me hope for the redeeming quality of social media, right? It gets a really bad
Right.
rap, and rightfully so. But this was a way to harness all the good out of it, right? Like we said, we're going to share all the positives and we're going to support each other through this. And we didn't pay a dime for it. I mean, how cool is
Right.
that,
Right. Yeah.
So
Well,
that was
what I love.
really, really
I'm
neat.
sorry. Go ahead.
No,
Well,
go ahead.
I think when I look at organizations, I mean, like local chambers are wonderful, and there's a representation of professionals that join a chamber, but something like yours is exclusively for business owners, correct?
Yes,
And so,
correct. And not just for business owners, for truly small and
mm-hmm,
local business owners. And here's the kind of caveat along the way. We've kind of narrowed and focused our mission. We've tweaked
mm-hmm,
it because once COVID happened, we realized that really what we are missing as small business owners is this built-in presence and marketing campaign. We don't have an HR department. We don't have a marketing department. We don't
mm-hmm,
have this. I'm not even really thinking of the right word, but we don't go into a portal and go
mm-hmm.
upload. Oh, look,
Right.
they're talking about this today. It's all here for me. Let me just put it on. No, we're making this stuff up along the way.
Mm-hmm,
And so that really became the beauty of everything. And going back to everything serving a different niche, like there's a difference. It doesn't mean it's better, it just means it's different. What we realized with organizations like chambers and people like that is that the skin in the game is different, right? Like people who work for those organizations get paychecks, whether they're producing or not, so to speak, in a way. None of my small business owner friends would make a dime. Nobody was giving them a paycheck unless during that time they figured out a way to make money.
mm-hmm.
And that was really what it boiled down to, is we didn't have the luxury of sitting back and waiting for somebody to save us or tell us what to do. We decided we're it. We're going to have to make these decisions, take the initiative, and do it ourselves. And that's really why I think our group is so amazing and powerful. Is as hard as the pandemic was to go through, it made us what we are, and it showed us how strong we were.
The expression for the business owner is you eat what you kill. Like so
That's
you if you make it, you have a salary. If you
Yep,
don't make it, you don't have a salary, because
you got that.
ultimately it comes down to you. And honorable small businesses were paying their employees, and not as owners taking salaries and making sacrifices to try to keep the business sustained, whether they're open or like yours, having to take 10 weeks without producing income. I mean, I know locally we saw some wonderful businesses turn to charitable work, caring for people who were shut-ins, and doing things that weren't in the scope of what they did, but it's just what the small business owners did because there was a need and they met it. And
Right.
so, as the pandemic continued, and we've had moments where we shut down and not shut down, and I know your governor had to deal with all those things. Those politics neither here nor there. What were some of the things that Choose Local and Small did to help those businesses? I know they promoted each other, and you talked about buying gift cards. Like, what were some of the practical things that you did to help those organizations that were part of your group?
So probably the most well-known initiative that we came up with was called the Cash Mob. And
Okay.
it was so embraced by the business owners, it was embraced by the community. It was just this amazing thing that happened. So one of my good friends is Guy, and he owns Moonrunners.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out to him and I said, I've got this idea and I want you to be my guinea pig.
Okay.
And here's the concept: Cash Mob. It's like a flash mob, but instead of everybody descending on this place and dancing, we're asking everybody to descend on this place and spend money. Okay.
Okay.
So every Wednesday, starting in July of 2020. So it didn't take us too long to get this together. In 2020, we said, we're going to cash mob a local business in our partnership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, not everybody in our partnership has a storefront and not everybody has a product.
Right.
So from that, we had businesses, let's just, for an example, a realtor. She goes, you know what? You can't cash mob me. I don't need to be cash mobbed. I'm actually still in business. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide the prize for the person that's being cash mobbed that day. So
Okay.
if you go to the business on the day of the cash mob and you spend $20 minimum, we'd love for you to spend more, but at least $20,
Mm-hmm.
your name goes into a drawing for a prize that was provided by another classy partner. And we say classy, that's the Choose Local and Small Yacht acronym.
Right. Right.
So you've got the people who are blessed enough to still be open and producing income, helping to sponsor the cash mob for the people who are truly, truly struggling. And we really did the restaurants and the food industry people first because they were, in dire need
Mm-hmm.
at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So we said, go buy a gift card, go get takeout, go do whatever, but spend the money. So our very first one, Moonrunners, we put up signs, we promoted it, and guess what? People came and it worked.
Awesome.
And the neatest part is people started bringing their kids. People started looking week after week for what business they could go to. And they just turned into this really cool community event. And here's what I really truly believe. People want to do good. They want to participate. They want to give back. They just need the opportunity, right? And all
Mm-hmm.
we were doing is giving them an opportunity. And people showed up and they did this from July through November every Wednesday. Every Wednesday. It was amazing.
Well, I've got to commend you, Dena, because, I mean, from afar, I could see there's something happening in Garner. And I could see the community, and Garner's that special kind of community. If you're from there or visit there, you understand it. But, I mean, you could see that in the midst of, the many brave things that people were doing across the country, there's many organizations doing brave and good things, but yours specifically was looking for people, and they're like, how can we help this local small business owner hang in there, stay in business, make it another week? And so I've just got to commend you for doing it, because you've got your own business that shut down for 10 weeks, and you're in the midst of running this, trying to help other restaurants. And I've got to give a quick plug. If anybody doesn't know Moonrunners is famous for being on Bar Rescue, by the way. Yes. They took like 3 different iterations, and look that episode up. It's an absolute blast. I love watching it because I'm like, I know that person. But all of a sudden what you're doing now, though, has morphed. Because this year I'm looking and I'm like, wait a minute. Because we do conferences, and you and I talked about that. There's a million details on putting something together. But you had the unconference last week, and I show up and there's, 70 people there? 70 business owners.
We did have 98 registered, but
okay, wow.
You say 70 showed up, and that's probably about right.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, so maybe it was closer to 100, but here is, 100 small business owners who are getting together for the sole purpose of saying, I want to learn from other small business owners. So how did all of a sudden sharing Facebook posts to cash mobs, how all of a sudden did a conference come about?
That's a great question. So what I will say, backing up when I said we've kind of evolved over time, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't just take it that here's how we started and this is how we're always going to be. And one thing that we do well and that is part of our mission is giving back to our community. We are so grateful that they are the ones who helped us make it through the toughest of times. But what I will say is, even during those tough times, we were still raising money for charities. And that's what I
Mm-hmm.
don't think everybody realizes. Even when we were shut down, even when it was still 2020, every couple of months we still organically saw a need and we tried to meet that need through
Mm-hmm.
fundraising. So that is a core mission for us. It will always be that way. Last year around this time we did a golf tournament, and the one beauty of Choose Local and Small Y'all is it can be as unconventional and out there, and we get to make up our own rules. So
Sure.
myself,
Sure.
my friend Crystal, and my friend Charlotte, none of us whom play golf, said we're going to do a golf tournament for charity because we can, and
Mm-hmm.
we're going to do it so much better than other golf tournaments. and
Okay.
and kind of the way that we think things through is we go, what do we hate about things that are normal, like that people do, and we're going to take them out and we're going to blow it up. So we called it
Perfect.
the baller bash, and we
Okay.
said it's one and done. It's going to be the craziest golf tournament you've ever been in, and that's going to be it. So you better come because you're not going to get to do it again. So about February of this year, people started going, hey, when's the baller bash? When are you going to do the baller bash? And I said, I said it was one and done. So I don't know. And I got to thinking, my dad made a comment to me one time, and I remember being highly offended by this, but he's a businessman. And sometimes when I process what he says, he really does make sense. He said, Dena, if you spend as much time on your business as you do raising money for other people, imagine how amazing it could be, right?
Right. Right.
And I got to thinking, you know what? That applies for Choose Local and Small Y'all too, because
Mm-hmm.
it's bigger than me, right? I now, in some way, have the weight of 60 to 70 some businesses on my shoulders that rely on me. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
100%, but they entrust this organization to support them.
Sure.
And that is when I had to step back and go, okay, charity is wonderful and that will always be a part of what we do. But is it really our core mission? At the end of the day, does that help these small businesses be successful to where they
Right.
can raise money later for charity, right? So I said, forget it. I'm going to do something that is really focused on these small businesses and that brings value at the end of the day. So once again, what do? I say, what is a normal function that
Mm-hmm.
groups do? They do conferences, but being kind of obnoxious, I say they don't always do it well, right? Like,
Right. Sure.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I think to some of the chamber functions that go on, and people show up because they want to be seen, they want to take a picture, they want to say they're in the know, but they really don't love being there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
especially the business owners don't necessarily love being there. That's the other thing that really I think people lose sight of is there is a difference. Again, not good or bad, not judging or anything, but there is a difference in the way that a small business owner looks at something and a marketing representative of a company looks at something. That marketing person is getting paid to attend things and be
Mm-hmm.
present. The business owner doesn't, in a way. They need this to really bring value and be worth their time because they could be doing something else that adds
Mm-hmm.
to their business. So I put my business owner hat on and I said, what can I do in a shorter period of time the hours that it would be conducive to small business owners. The length of time would be conducive. The content would be. And really, at the end of the day, I want it to be casual. I want
Okay.
anybody to roll up, no matter what their business, and come and feel like they belong.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we accomplished that. We really
Mm-hmm.
made it a laid back event. You could come as you are. I don't care if you were a plumber or you were a mechanic or an electrician or what you were. You could come in your work clothes. You could come dressed up if you wanted, like just come as you are. And we tried to make it to where it wasn't just long, boring, sitting here and hearing speakers. We tried to make it interactive. We asked our people who registered to give us their questions. What are your pain points? What do you want to
Perfect.
know? What would help you make your business run better? Because guess what? You don't have all of these departments and people on staff. But guess what? Today you do. You're going to come to this
Mm-hmm.
conference and
Great.
you're going to have a marketing person and an HR person and an accountant and an attorney and all of these people that you're going to be able to hopefully walk away with a little bit clearer focus. You're going to walk away with some tools in your toolkit.
The needs of a business owner are always incredibly practical. It's a very simple
Very.
thing that a small business owner needs. And if it's a question, they need the quickest, simplest solution. If it's a tool, they need the tool that's easiest to implement. When corporations get larger, they can take on more complex systems. Small businesses need simplicity and quick to implement. Sounds like that's exactly what you did. You put your small business hat on during lockdown. Your restaurants needed cash. Well, then let's find a way to give them cash. If a small business owner is going to take 4 hours to go to a conference, let me find out the questions they need answered, because they may not have time to reach out to a financial planner like you had, or an accountant like you had, or a marketing expert. You brought all those on there, and they got simple, direct answers that were easy to implement. So again, it makes sense. You saw the problem you had, you just went out and found a solution for, and then you made sure that the other 100 people who were part of your organization did the same thing. So that makes a lot of sense. That's a fantastic approach. So the question I have for you, Dena, is like, okay, we navigated. At that point in time, a lot of people were able to survive the quarantine, and then you did a cash mob, and you did the conference, the most practical conference you could think of. Do you have a sense yet of like the ongoing impact that you want Choose Local and Small to make?
Wow, that's a great question. I think for me and anybody who knows me, I really fly by the seat of my pants. And
Mm-hmm.
I really long-term planning is not my strong suit. And I think it served me well only because I'm able to pivot and adapt to the needs at the moment. I do recognize that Choose Local and Small, y'all, has taken on a life of its own. I get, I'm not exaggerating, uh, Facebook messages, Instagram messages, emails almost daily now with somebody reaching out because they want to be a part of it.
Wonderful.
Probably the craziest thing about it is if somebody approaches me, because I did have one person approach me and say, well, what do I get for joining?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to lie, I just looked at them and I said, I'm not even really sure we're the place for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't trying to be obnoxious, but when I tell you that I have 72 partners at this point in our group, and not one of them is selfish. I mean, these people aren't looking at it like, I'm getting ready to hand you my money and I want you to tell me what I'm going to get for it. Because guess
Mm-hmm.
what? You can see what we do with such little amounts of money. And our focus is being a support system. Let me tell you one thing that really kind of makes sense about us, that we focus on the small business owner. So going back to blowing things up, because that tends to be my favorite thing to do, I guess, is ribbon cuttings. So
Okay.
during the pandemic, when nobody was doing ribbon cuttings, we were
Mm-hmm.
like, well, we're going to do ribbon cuttings. You know, people, if somebody's brave enough to launch a business during this craziness, we're going to support you. So we did them.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I woke up and I thought, you know what is a worthless thing for a small business owner? A ribbon cutting, for the most part. I mean, let's just think about it. People come and they cut a ribbon and then they go on their way. Yippee! Like, what did you get at the end of the day? So back last year, we had a distillery to open, and they're called Aristotle Spirits. They're an amazing little place in downtown Garner. And I said, you know what? We're not going to cut your ribbon, because you know what? The chamber can do that, because that's what
Mm-hmm.
they do.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're going to do is we're going to bring back something useful, which is called the cash mob, right?
Yeah.
Hey, who
Yeah.
doesn't want cash? I mean, hello, you're a brand new business. What are you short on? You're short on money, because you have just spent so much on your marketing, on your branding, on your setting up, on your everything. So when they opened, we decided we would cash mob them instead. And
Mm-hmm.
we did our version of a ribbon cutting, which we got a cash gun, and we counted down, and instead of cutting a ribbon, we shot money all over the place, and we
Awesome.
encouraged
Yeah.
and spend their $20. We had a person who basically sponsored it, just like we did during 2020. And from now moving forward, we've done a couple of more. And that is so much more impactful at the end of the day for a small business owner to walk out of that day with money instead of a broken ribbon, right?
Mm. So it sounds like people are joining your organizations with a commitment to support the other businesses, like
Yeah,
whether they're a competitor or not,
yeah,
and then going forward, just continuing to do the same as literally as possible. Like literally, let's make sure these new businesses launch with money because they don't have any left because they
right.
spend all their money designing or upfitting or all the gazillion hidden costs of opening a business. And
Exactly.
so do you think you'll do another conference?
I do. I do. That's really something that I want to keep doing, because educating, that
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
vital.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are so many things that we don't know and that we didn't get to at the conference. I mean, you can only go over so much information,
Right.
right?
Right.
Um, so I would love to probably once a year maybe do a big one. And
Okay.
then I'm thinking along the way, let's pick individual topics, pull them out, and maybe once a quarter do something with that. The beauty
Awesome.
is, again, we can do whatever we want to do. You know,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
long as I support. And the other cool thing that we always like to incorporate in what we do is when we launched the unconference, I said, let's try to get sponsors and let's raise some money, but we're not going to do it just to put it in our pockets. What can we do for other people? So we decided that we were going to figure out a way to fund a grant for future
Awesome.
small business owners.
Mm-hmm.
So
Awesome.
we knew that pulling that off right away might not happen. We didn't know how much we were going to raise from the conference, but moving forward, sometime either the end of this year or the beginning of next year, we are going to definitely take those funds and figure out a way to pay it forward.
Awesome. I love it. Well, Dina, this has been a blast. We got to begin to wind things down, but tell people how they can find either you or Alossi or Choose Local, whichever one you want to point people towards right now. What's the best way to find you and all those things online right now?
So I would love for people to go to Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook and like our page. Choose
Mm-hmm.
Local and Small Y'all is the name. Find us there. We also have a website, and on the front page of the website, it tells you a little bit of our background. It tells you about some of our initiatives, and it tells you a list of all of our partners that we currently have.
So what's that website? What's the address?
ChooseLocalAndSmallYall.com.
Perfect. Okay. Not going to assume. So perfect. Perfect.
Yes.
Well, Dena, again, I'm inspired by you. It's encouraging to see all the great things that you're doing. I know that Garner, which folks don't know, is located right outside of Raleigh, North Carolina. I know it's a special community and that you guys are going a long ways to try to find something distinct for small owners. So I want small business owners. I want to commend you for that because you are one yourself. You still got to get your doors open. You still got to get people coming in. But thanks so much. I'm so glad we've reconnected, and I'm confident we'll reconnect again sometime soon.
Absolutely, Gordon. Thank you so much for having me, and I love that you came to the conference and that everyone got to see you.
Oh, it was a blast. And everyone, thanks so much for tuning in again. I'm thankful for all of you who are watching or listening, however you take the podcast. And if you're working out or something like where you're listening to this, if you just share it up in your socials, it helps the show, but it also helps folks like Dena and raises awareness for what she's doing. And I look forward to talking to you again next week. Thanks so much, friends. Bye-bye.
How do you shorten the time it takes to buy a car? Car buying just got easier. Pohanka365.com lets you complete as much or as little of the car buying process online. Pohanka365.com. Car buying simplified. Anytime, anywhere.
Small business owners, you should be praised for wanting to grow your business. That's a good thing, and not everybody has the guts to do it. As a business owner myself, I know you've overcome obstacles that people don't even know about. Hi, my name is Gordon Duncan, the owner of Capitalized Marketing and Consulting, and I want you to know that if your business hasn't grown like you want it to, it's not your fault. If it's not COVID getting in the way, it's ridiculous things like changing social media algorithms. You're right in thinking that very few people are doing small businesses any favors right now. But Capitalized Marketing and Consulting is here to help. We've created a 90-day course that is guaranteed to grow the revenue of your business. It will give you the tools that you've been looking for. And as a certified coach, I would be with you along the way. If you would like to learn more about our program, just visit CapitalizeYourBest.com and get started enjoying the success you deserve. Again, that's CapitalizeYourBest.com, and I can't wait to celebrate all you accomplish.